What is up, people? Video Game XD back with another video. And tonight we're going to be looking at my Nintendo 64 collection. Now, as some of you might know, the Nintendo 64, it's one of the greatest Nintendo systems of all time. Came out back in 1996, I believe. So the mid-90s. I grew up with the N64 along with the PlayStation. Now, I honestly, I prefer the PlayStation for my own reasons, but I do love the Nintendo 64 as well. Had a lot of fun games, especially the wrestling games and the Mario parties and all the Mario games, So, without further ado, let's take a look at these games. I think I got about around 40, 50 games. I've been collecting these for a while now. And another thing, I did not draw on these at all. This is actually this is tape. I made another video how to put your own end labels on your cartridges. So I did not draw on these. I don't want anybody to comment and be like, why did you draw on those games? You completely killed the value. No, I did not draw on them. This is tape, okay? It's all fucking tape. So, let's get to it. First up, Super Mario 64. Classic game. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like I said, I prefer like Crash Bandicoot, the original, over this game, because this game is a pain in the ass. I can't explain how much of a fucking pain this game is. It's one of the first 3D games ever made, especially the first 3D Mario ever made. Well, aside from Super Mario RPG, but that wasn't really 3D. But yeah, Super Mario 64 Classic. Next up, Cruisin' USA. Classic car game, love the Cruisin' series. Gotta have that in the collection. Perfect Dark. Now, I know a lot of people like GoldenEye, but honestly, if you have the expansion pack for your Nintendo 64, Perfect Dark is a lot better than GoldenEye. There's more weapons, there's more maps, a lot more characters you can choose from. So I actually prefer Perfect Dark. But I still love GoldenEye, don't get me wrong. Quake, the original Quake. Classic game. If you like Doom and shit, you'll love Quake. Next up, Rampage World Tour. Now, funny story with this game. I have it on the PlayStation as well. Me and my friend Thomas, back in the day, back in the 90s, we stayed up all night. All fucking night. And I think there's like 400, 500 levels on this game. And we finally beat it. And after we beat it, there wasn't no special ending or anything. So we were like, really? That's it? That's the end? But we actually beat this game back in the day. Love Rampage. Love the original. Awesome game. Rush 2. Well, this copy actually somebody drew on it like a fucking idiot. I didn't really grow up with Rush 2. I grew up with the original. Been meaning to play this, but eventually I'll get around to it. Next up, Army Men, Sarge's Heroes. Love the Army Men games, especially Sarge's Heroes 1 and 2 for the Nintendo 64, and Army Men 3D for the PlayStation. Classic, fun-ass games. Next up, Star Wars, Shadow of the Empire. Now, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. I'm not a Star Wars kind of guy, but this game was actually really good. I enjoyed that game back in the day. Duke Nukem 64. Now, the Duke Nukem I grew up with was Time to Kill for the PlayStation and Land of the Babes. This one I didn't really grow up too much on, but I did play Duke Nukem 3D on Windows, and I heard this is basically the same game. But I heard it, even though it's mature, I heard Nintendo censored a lot of stuff in this. I don't know if that's true or not, so I'm gonna have to check that out. Duke Nukem 0 Hour. I do remember playing this a little bit back in the day, I believe. Or it could have been a different Duke Nukem, not totally sure. But I found this really cheap. I think I found it for like $8. And I'm a Duke Nukem fan, I'm a Duke Nukem mark. So I picked that shit up. Had to get that. Next up, WCW NWO Revenge. Probably the best WCW game ever created. Everything from the match types to their superstars. This is the sequel to WCW NWO World Tour, which is also a great game. Oh my god, so many memories playing WCW Revenge, man. Fucking, it's crazy because you can find this game for like $1 or $2, and it's one of the best N64 games out there. Whether you're a wrestling fan or not, it's a fun ass game. Next up, South Park. Just South Park. Yeah, I bought it as a kid. I thought, oh my god, a South Park game. And then you play it and it's kind of shitty, but I guess it's a first-person shooter, and there's a lot of dirty jokes in it. It's really raunchy, I guess. But I have a lot of good memories with that game, so I had to get it. Next up, California Speed. I played the shit out of this game in the arcade, and once I found out there was a Nintendo 64 port of it, I was like, holy shit, I need that. I played it. It's not quite as good as the arcade. You know, you don't have the steering wheel, of course, and the maps are kind of altered. But still, for a Nintendo 64 port, it's actually pretty damn good, and you can find it really cheap. So I loved California Speed back in the heyday, you know. Doom 64. I didn't really play this a lot growing up. I played the original Doom, of course, on the computer, on Windows. Doom for the computer is great. This one, I heard mixed reviews, but found it cheap. So, had to get that in the collection. Next up, NHL 99 from EA Sports. Back when EA Sports was decent, now they fucking suck balls. NHL 99, one of the best NHL games I ever fucking played. I honestly, I prefer like the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo NHL games, but 3D wise, NHL 99, hell yes, it's up there with a lot of great other hockey games. Next up, San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing. This is the one I grew up with on the PlayStation, but I heard this one's 10 times better on the Nintendo 64, so I had to get it for the N64. Next up, Fighting Force 64. Have this for the PlayStation. Grew up with both of them. Love this game. It's actually, what is it? Streets of Rage 4. This is actually Streets of Rage 4, but they changed the name of it for some reason. I don't know why. But I love Fighting Force. Awesome game. Next up, NASCAR 99. Me and my friend Thomas used to play this a lot back in the day on the PlayStation. So I had to get the Nintendo 64 one. WWF WrestleMania 2000. Awesome game. I actually played this more than No Mercy. I know a lot of people are like, No Mercy's the greatest wrestling WWF game of all time. Actually, I played more of this game than I did No Mercy. I don't know why, I just did. Loved WrestleMania 2000. Hours and hours spent on that game. And here's the greatest game of all time. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an awesome game. It's just I cannot stand the fucking menu music on this fucking game. Diggity dog up my ass. Diggity. Shut the fuck up. They could have chose something better than that shit. Oh my god. But other than that, No Mercy is fucking amazing. You can find this game for about $2 to $3. You know? So you have to have No Mercy in your collection. Next up, NFL Blitz 2000. Love all the NFL Blitz games, even though EA fucked it all up and took out late hits on the new one for Xbox 360 or whatever, but these are the ones I grew up with. NFL Blitz 2000. And GoldenEye 007. I mean, if you have a Nintendo 64 and you don't have this game, you fucked up, okay? You totally fucked up. You need GoldenEye in your Nintendo 64 collection. It is a must. If you don't have GoldenEye, then I don't know what the fuck you're doing. NFL Blitz, the original. Like I said, NFL Blitz, it was awesome back in the day. I actually like these games better than Madden and all the simulation bullshit these days. It's fun going back playing NFL Blitz. Wayne Gretzky hockey, 98. Now, I think I played more of this on the PlayStation, but the N64 one's just as good. It's basically like, it's an old version of NHL Hits, basically. It plays just like NHL Hits. And NHL Hits is one of my favorite hockey games. Next up, Vigilante 8. The Nintendo 64 one's awesome because you got 4 controller ports, you can have 4-player action. Even though I grew up with the PlayStation version of it. But this one is really good too. I need the second game. I don't think I have the second one for the Nintendo 64. Next up, F-Zero X. Love F-Zero since the original on the Super Nintendo. But this one, it goes fucking insane. This game is insane. Cruisin' World. Now, I believe this is the sequel to Cruisin' USA. I know there's Cruisin' Exotica, too. But this one's really awesome, too. Gotta have Cruisin' World. Next up, War Gods. Played a lot of this as a kid. You know, me and my brother and my dad. We played the shit out of War Gods. Yeah, I know it's a Mortal Kombat clone. You can do fatalities. But this is actually a really cool game. I like War Gods. Turok Dinosaur Hunter. Now, they actually just re-released this for the Xbox One, all in HD. So, I love the original Turok. The other ones were okay, but this one was so fucking good back in the day. So, I actually might buy the Xbox One version just to play it in HD. Next up, Clay Fighter 63.5. It's basically Clay Fighter 64. Clay Fighter was cool. I used to play it on the Super Nintendo a lot. I used to rent it as a kid. Found this pretty cheap. Had to get it. Mortal Kombat 4. Now, Mortal Kombat 4, not my all-time favorite Mortal Kombat. It's probably one of my least favorite Mortal Kombats in the series. But, you know, it's still a Mortal Kombat game, and I had to have it in the collection. I also have it for the original PlayStation. It was the first, like, 3D style Mortal Kombat. And it has a big history around it, so I had to get Mortal Kombat 4. Next up, Army Men, Sarge's Heroes 2. This one was awesome, just like the original. If you can find it cheap, get it. South Park, Chef's Love Shack. This is such an underrated game. I remember playing the hell out of this with my sister, my brother, my dad. Like, everybody was playing this game at my house back in the day. It's a very raunchy game. Yeah, it has a lot of sexual stuff in it. But it's actually a really fun trivia game if you can find it cheap. I love South Park Chef's Love Shack. Awesome game. You can find it really cheap, too. Next up, Mario Party, the original. My favorite Mario Party of all time. I know a lot of people like 2 the best and 3, but this one's, I don't know, something about it. I know all the mini games by heart with this one, and I love the original Mario Party. I wish they would re-release it in HD, but for some reason they can't, or they don't want to. Next up, NBA Showtime, NBA and NBC. Played the shit out of this on the original PlayStation. Saw it for the Nintendo 64, so I had to have it. It's just like NBA Jam if you're in an NBA Jam type shit. Mario Kart 64. The best Mario Kart ever made. I'm sorry, this is the best Mario Kart that they ever came out with, in my opinion. It's still better than any of the Mario Karts that I've fucking played. So many memories with that game. Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. Didn't really get big into this one, but Turok 1 and 2 were pretty much the best out of the series. I don't even know how to fucking pronounce this game. Walla something Country Club True Golf Classics. Me and my family used to play this a lot back in the day. It's a great golf game, and I'm not even a golfer. I don't like golf at all, but this game was really, really fun back in the day. Next up, WWF Attitude. This was probably my, yeah, see how damaged this fucking thing is? I actually found this for $2 at a gaming store, and I figured, hey, $2, whatever. I can't complain, really, on the quality of it, but Not the greatest wrestling game, but hey, it was $2 fucking. Okay, don't come at me with that crap. All right. Next up, WCW Mayhem. It was alright. It wasn't as good as Revenge or World Tour, but Mayhem was decent. Played some of that on the PlayStation growing up. WCW versus NWO World Tour. Now, this is another game. If you have a Nintendo 64, you must own this game. You can find it for $1 or $2. Very cheap. It's one of the best WCW games that they ever came out with. Love that game. Next up, Star Fox 64. Classic. They re-released it for the 3DS. Star Fox 64 is one of the greatest Nintendo 64 games ever made. NBA Hang Time. Now this game, I actually like this more than NBA Jam. And I might even like it better than Showtime. But Hang Time I played so much growing up, especially on the Sega Genesis. Love NBA Hang Time. It's just like the arcade version on the Nintendo 64. Oh, here we go. Resident Evil 2. What hasn't been said, what hasn't been said about this game? That's been already said. I mean, if you have a Nintendo 64 or a PlayStation, this is one of the truest survival horror games ever made. I still remember playing this when I was like 7, 8 years old, being scared to shit. This game scared the fuck out of me growing up. I actually beat it on the GameCube. And the final game of my Nintendo 64 collection, Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Mortal Kombat Trilogy, played the living shit. I played the living shit out of this version and the PlayStation version, which has 4 extra characters. But the this one doesn't have load times, so that's why I kind of like the Nintendo 64 version. And there's a bunch of cheat codes out for it too, if you can find cheat codes. But yeah, that's my N64 collection. Love the Nintendo 64. Hopefully I keep these games for many, many more years. I don't plan on ever selling them because I love them too much, But yeah, follow Video Game XD on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Rate, subscribe, comment. Thanks for viewing. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.